Oshidori. What if the bird you killed came back to speak to you? Not as a ghost, not as a monster, but as a grieving wife. One winter evening, a hunter shot a wild duck beside a lonely mountain pond. That night, a beautiful woman appeared at his door. Tears filled her eyes as she asked a single question. Why did you kill him? This is one of the most haunting stories collected by Lafcadio Hearn, a tale of love, loss, and a sorrow so deep that it crossed the boundary between worlds. Chapter 1. The Hunter. Long ago, in the province of Bizen, there lived a hunter named Sonjo. He was known for his skill with a bow. Few animals escaped his aim. One cold winter day, Sonjo wandered deep into the mountains. There he discovered a quiet pond hidden among the trees. The water was still as glass. Floating upon it was a pair of Oshidori, Mandarin ducks. The male and female stayed close together, moving across the water as though they shared a single shadow. They seemed perfectly content. But Sonjo saw only prey. He raised his bow. He drew the string, and he released the arrow. The shaft struck the male duck. The bird thrashed against the water, staining the surface red before finally becoming still. The female cried out. The sound echoed across the pond. It was not a cry Sonjo had ever heard before. It sounded almost like weeping, yet he ignored it. He collected the dead bird and returned home. Chapter 2. A Visitor in the Night. That night, long after darkness had settled over the mountains, Sonjo was awakened by a knock at his door. He sat up. Another knock followed. Slowly he opened the door. A young woman stood outside. She was extraordinarily beautiful. Her clothing was simple, yet elegant. Moonlight shimmered across her face. Without waiting for an invitation, she stepped inside. Something about her presence filled the room with sadness. For a moment, she said nothing. Then tears began to run down her cheeks. Looking directly into Sonjo's eyes, she spoke. Why did you kill him? The hunter felt a chill move through his body. I don't understand, he said. But somehow, he already did. Chapter 3. Her grief. The woman lowered her gaze. We lived together for many years, she said softly. We harmed no one. We wanted only to remain together. Her voice trembled. Yet with a single arrow, you took that away. The room grew silent. Outside, the wind moved through the trees. Sonjo could find no words. Throughout his life, he had hunted countless animals. Never once had he wondered what they left behind. Never once had he imagined the grief waiting for them. The woman continued to weep. Each tear seemed heavier than the last. At last she rose to her feet, and before leaving she whispered, I cannot live without him. Chapter 4. The Truth Revealed. The woman turned toward the door. Sonjo followed her outside. The moon hung high above the mountains. Silver light covered the ground. Then something impossible happened. The woman's form began to change. Her sleeves became feathers. Her arms unfolded into wings. Her body grew smaller. Within moments, she was no longer a woman. She was a Mandarin duck. The very female duck that had cried beside the pond. The bird looked back at him. For an instant, Sonjo thought he saw the same sorrow in her eyes. Then she spread her wings and disappeared into the night sky. The hunter stood frozen beneath the moon, unable to move, unable to speak, unable to forget. Chapter 5. The Pond. At dawn, Sonjo returned to the hidden pond. The mountains were silent. The water remained perfectly still. Near the shore, he found the female duck. She lay motionless among the reeds, dead. No wound marked her body. No predator had touched her. She had simply followed her mate into death. Sonjo knelt beside her. For the first time in many years, he felt shame. Not fear, not regret alone. Something deeper. From that day forward, he never hunted again. The bow that had fed him for years was laid aside forever. And whenever he remembered the pond, he remembered the lesson he had learned too late. Every life is connected to another. Even the smallest act of violence leaves a wound somewhere unseen. Ending. Some stories frighten us because they contain monsters. Others haunt us because they contain truth. The tale of Oshidori asks a simple question. How much suffering can be hidden behind a single careless act? Sonjo never forgot what he had seen that night. The sorrow of the woman, the cry of the bird, and the terrible cost of a single arrow. According to the old tale, the hunter was changed forever. He abandoned his life as a hunter. He laid down his bow and never touched it again. In time, he left the world behind and became a Buddhist monk, seeking forgiveness for the life he had taken and the suffering he had caused. Perhaps he spent the rest of his days praying for the two birds. Perhaps he hoped that somewhere beyond this world, they had found each other again. On quiet evenings, when the wind moves across still water, it is said that some people remember the story of the faithful Oshidori. A story not of revenge, not of horror, but of love so deep that even death could not separate it. Thank you for listening, and may your heart be gentle toward all living things.